Welcome back to our next episode of Learn and Speak's Talk the Talk podcast. Our next student, I've just met him a couple of months ago. We started a new class at his company. He's in the pharmaceutical industry. And I don't know, like the first or second week that we were talking, he told us this fascinating story of how he met his wife. And as soon as he finished telling us the story, my initial reaction was, man, you got played. But now I've invited him back to the podcast. We learn a little bit more about his life. And of course, he tells the story about how he met his wife. So I'll let you guys be the judge. But it's a fascinating love story. So we hope you enjoy this episode. That sounds good. So joining us this week for our latest episode of LAS Talk the Talk podcast is probably one of the more fluent students I've had in 6 years of teaching, or 7 years of teaching in Germany. And what I want to ask you first is, I don't hear a German accent when you speak English. And that was the very first thing I noticed when I met you. How's that possible?
Oh, thank you, first of all. I think you're overestimating my abilities. However, I stayed abroad for some time, and I was in Australia. So maybe that helped to take away some of the German accents. But I'm pretty sure that it will be recognizable.
So how old were you when you first left Germany?
So you mean for holidays?
Well, you said you spent time in Australia.
Okay. Yeah. So that was in 2004.
Okay.
So
20 years ago.
20 years ago. Yeah. So I was young.
But you started learning English in high school, in school.
In school, yes. So I learned English long before that because I'm 60. So
right.
I was 40 when I left Germany.
Okay.
So actually I used English previously because I also lived abroad Germany when I was studying, and to do my thesis I stayed in a foreign country, in Thailand.
Okay, so so that was your first student exchange?
Yes.
So how many years were you in Thailand?
It was 7 months.
7 months.
Yeah, for my.
And you were doing research for a master's thesis or a dissertation?
No, it was. I think you call it master now. It was a diploma.
Okay.
Yeah.
So undergraduate diploma.
Yes.
Okay. How old were you when you first left the country? How old were you?
So probably I was 29.
Okay. So you had English growing up in elementary school or in high school. How important was that to you at that particular time? Were you a good student in English?
Definitely not.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was able to speak English. I had to use English later on during my work. Translating mainly scientific papers. I mean, not translating, but reading.
Okay.
Right? So, but not that fluently in speaking.
Okay.
And when I then moved to Thailand to do my research, we had an appointment between the German guys to just speak English between each other.
Okay.
And we had an American guy who was living with us in this area, and so most of the conversations were in English.
Okay. Were you learning Thai as well?
Not at that time.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I know a couple of words, but not really learning. Yeah.
So that's your first international experience living abroad in a different country. When you think back on those days, how important was that experience in your life today?
I'm struggling to find anything that's close to it.
Okay.
So it was the most important experience, right? Yeah.
Right. And how did that change you personally? Like what kind of new things that you sort of incorporated into your personality or you thought that were important? Like how did that mold you, your characters, or some of your characters?
Yeah. So may I start before I left?
Of course.
Because that was I studied biology.
Uh-huh.
So if you study law, you become a lawyer. If
Right.
you study medicine, you become a doctor.
Uh-huh.
If everything works out. If you study biology, at that time in Germany, you become unemployed. Yeah. So
Okay.
so knowing that, I was striving for something that really matters to me, and so I chose behavioral science.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was an opportunity from our institute to study abroad, and my thesis was about the behavior of gibbons.
Okay.
So I went to a national park in Thailand, and that changed me because I spent a lot of time in the jungle,
Uh-huh.
most of the time alone.
Uh-huh.
So that was a big challenge for me as a person.
Perfect.
Becoming brave enough to live with the knowledge that tiger and bears and snakes are around you.
Did you have someone with you as a guide, or?
At the beginning, we were two guys from our institute.
Uh-huh.
But we observed 3 gibbon groups at the same time. So it was actually, we went to the forest together,
Uh-huh.
and then split up to follow different groups. So we stayed in the forest alone most of the time, and then met later on in the afternoon somewhere.
So to our
outside.
listeners, how would you describe a gibbon? What is a gibbon?
A gibbon is not a monkey.
Okay.
It's an ape, have no tail.
Uh-huh.
So it's a close relative to us. So with the orangutan, the bonobos, chimpanzees, gorillas,
Mm-hmm.
and the humans is the apes. And
Are they dangerous?
no, they are endangered, but
Mhm.
not dangerous. They swing through the branches of
Okay.
the trees. Nearly never touch the ground.
So your observation was from below.
My observation was from below, following through a really thick jungle.
Uh-huh.
And the gibbons most of the time has been 20, 30 meters, sorry I'm German, so
Uh-huh.
it's not yards.
Yeah.
So meters away above my head most of the time.
Binoculars?
Yes, I mean it was good enough to see them if I had to follow, but if I needed to study the behavior, then of course I used binoculars.
So you're taking notes?
Yes, that was the idea to
Like
have.
what exactly are you looking for? Like what kind of behaviors?
So what is special about gibbons is also that they are so-called monogamous.
Okay.
So, and I'm following a school which is shaped by Edward Wilson,
Mm-hmm.
an American guy,
Mm-hmm.
and the idea is that this behavior need to have a reproductive advantage.
Okay.
So, and it is not clear what is the advantage for a male not to have many females,
Right.
because the number of offspring can be maximized by
Uh-huh.
that. So choosing monogamy need to be advantage, or need to have an advantage over other behavior, and that was the idea to figure it out.
Okay.
So probably that was the most likely explanation, is that the survival of the offspring is depending on the behavior of the male.
Okay.
So being protective
Uh-huh.
to the family, or having better access to resources. And gibbons are also territorial.
Uh-huh.
And the most exciting moments were when two groups met in a kind of border area,
Mm-hmm.
which is not clearly belonging to one or the other territory.
Okay.
And that was mostly or mainly around food trees. Yeah?
Okay.
Gibbons are eating figs and other fruits, sometimes a little bit insects, but mainly it was vegetarian.
Okay.
Food, yeah.
So if you're studying like a gibbon, do you call it a family? Do you call it a school? What's the group called?
Yeah, it's a family. It's the male and the female, the adults, and their the offspring of the female, we have to say. And that's, I think the biggest group is something around 7 individuals.
Okay.
And then when the subadults come to age, then they are mainly driven away by the male, if it's a son, or by the female when it's a daughter.
So when sons grow up, do they leave the
territory?
They leave the territory. They start their own families.
Yeah, they're looking.
Okay.
So, and something else which is special about gibbons, this is that they're singing.
Okay.
And they have very nice singing. Please don't ask me to imitate it, because it's really impossible. I can't go that high pitch. But they have 2 main different calls. The first one is more kind of solo. And that takes place at about 8-9 o'clock in the morning. And it's males singing that, mainly alone.
Okay.
And then at about 11 o'clock, it can happen at certain times in the year that they have a duet.
Okay.
And they have different roles. It's like the female is singing the so-called great call.
Okay.
It's a very high-pitched call, and it's kind of really melodic. And it's answered by a kind of hoots from the male.
Okay.
Right. So it's like the interpretation was mainly like, I'm here, the female. Yeah. I'm here. I'm strong. I'm a female. I'm attractive. You know. So anyone interested? And then the male's answering, oh, okay, don't bother. I'm here already.
Okay. So this is like courtship.
It's a kind of courtship, but it's also a question about interpretation, because it could be defending the territory, tell everyone else there's no need, but there's also a competition between the 2 sexes by saying, okay, if both call together, that would be clearly defending system.
Okay.
But they call independently, and it could also be attracting a better partner, right?
So, while you're looking up, are you nervous about what's around you on the ground?
Definitely, yes.
How deep are you into the forest when you're observing these gibbons?
It was a national park, which has been, and it's one of the, I think the 2nd largest, or even the largest in Thailand. It's like, I think 30 kilometers by 200 kilometers.
Okay.
So it's really wilderness. Yeah. However, there is one road going from from south to north, or north to south, and in the middle of that area there is a headquarter, and from that headquarter there are trails around. So, and the study area was inside of a trail, but it was then dense forest. So we can't get lost as long as we are staying inside the trail. Right?
So what inside on the ground what can hurt you? Everything?
Yes, it could. Yeah. So the most dangerous animals in there are not tiger, even though there has been incidents with tiger, or bears or snakes. The most dangerous are ticks and leeches.
Okay.
Leeches, yeah, they suck your blood all the time.
Okay.
Insects are more common.
So, did you check your body every single day coming out and going in? Yeah. How many leeches normally would you remove?
If I'm lucky, I forget after 5 minutes that they are leeches.
Okay.
They suck through the socks. However, they don't transfer any
bacteria
or viruses or something.
But ticks?
Ticks when it's very dry. In a more wet area or season, then it was the leeches that makes the most problem. Yeah. So, but there again, I don't know any transferable diseases or so. So it's just like, and it's not even itching. The leeches, you don't feel it. And the only thing is, you go into the forest with white socks, and you come out with red. Okay. That's all.
That's your blood.
Yeah. Okay.
So 7 months doing the observations with the gibbons, living independently, arranging English-only conversations with the other students, feeling I am capable of doing this in a different country, in a different environment, people having different languages. The confidence, I think, that gives people is outstanding.
I
could be wrong.
No. It was a challenge, but I wasn't alone at the very beginning because there was a PhD student, and I just followed him.
Okay.
Right. So he introduced me into that kind of work, but being alone in the forest, of course, that was a challenge. And he was more experienced than I in that, so I just took over some of his confidence. If he can do, I can do.
Okay.
You know. So. Yeah. And if I can't do, then at least I didn't talk about it.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. Don't tell anybody.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, there has been times when I was really, really afraid, and I heard noises, and whatever it was, I felt like, oh, that must be the tiger.
Okay.
And one thing I learned about tiger is that if you see a tiger, that was the advice he gave me then, he's not on the hunt. He didn't notice you, which is very unlikely, but he will not, is not looking for you.
Okay.
So, and tigers always attack from the back. So if you see him, then, and the distance is long enough, then make some noise.
Okay.
Not aggressive noise, but then there's a good chance that he turns away.
Okay.
If he's really on the hunt, don't worry.
He's going to get you.
Yeah, get you and you don't feel it.
So you never saw a tiger?
No. I smelled a tiger several times, and I heard a tiger.
Okay.
They're how do you call it? Not howling, but
they're roaring.
Roaring,
right?
yes,
Yeah.
Kind of. It's more kind of ooh, something like that, you know.
Okay.
But it was still
enough to scare you.
It was enough to scare me. Yeah. So and sometimes in my imagination, tiger was everywhere. Of course, if you have a branch of a palm leaf. The earth is a little bit reddish, and the light through the green light from the forest canopy, and it's hitting the ground, but the shadow of the palm tree making some stripes on the ground, and you see that on the edge of your eyes. You know, of course, that is a tiger. That's the first idea, and I actually, even if it's stupid, because he probably would be quicker than me, then sometimes I needed to take a rest, and I climbed on some of the trees.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they have a kind of platform because in that area also they had a camera team.
Okay.
And that was kind of leftovers. It was not 100% safe because they are quite old.
Okay.
But sometimes I just needed the rest.
Okay.
You know?
Just climb up a couple of meters.
Yeah, 10 meters.
10 meters. Sit on the stoop.
And relax.
And just relax.
Until I'm brave enough to go on. Yeah.
Were you keeping a personal journal at this time? Like
yes.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah. The scientific one by observing.
Or the personal one.
And the personal one.
Yeah.
Both. Yeah.
Do you sometimes go back and read that personal one?
Not yet. I'm close to be old enough to start thinking about the good old times. Not yet, but I'm sure that I will do that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now let me ask the question, since that was a great description of why you were there in the first place, how did that experience impact you?
A great deal for me was fighting against my fear.
Okay.
And face that, right? So, and that boosted my confidence later on.
Okay.
You know, what else can I be afraid of, right?
Right.
One experience, it's totally harmless, but it was a big challenge for me, was when we had to go to the forest before sunrise, right? So at 4:30, wake up, go to the forest, and it's pitch dark. That's the hunting time of the tiger. So I was really alerted. And then I heard a very strange noise, and the only explanation I had, I studied biology, I should know better.
Right.
The only explanation I had, that's a rattlesnake.
Okay.
That was that sound. Yeah, it was like, so, and I know there are no rattlesnakes in Asia. not that I know of, and but I couldn't find any other explanation. So normally my reaction would be run away.
Right.
So I forced myself not to do so, because I learned during this experience that most of the animals in this forest are more afraid of you than
Right.
you of them.
Yeah.
You should be afraid of them.
Yeah.
So I forced myself, and that was really took me a lot of power to not run away, but try to stay and try to figure out where the noise is coming from.
Okay.
And that was because it comes directly next to my feet. So, and I that is really a strange situation. So anyway, I forced myself to knee down.
Mm-hmm.
And then it occurs that the sound is everywhere around me.
Okay.
And when I finally adapted the focus, I saw that the whole floor was covered by leaves,
Uh-huh.
and there was an army of termites on these leaves. And because every time I moved, they get disturbed, and the soldiers of the termites used their mandibles and hit on the leaves. And because that was like I think thousands at least, yeah, maybe more, do that in a kind of rhythm.
Yeah.
It sounds like this rattle.
So that's their
sound.
defense mechanism.
Yeah, at least a kind of alarm,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So and that was a good experience, because I was brave enough to fight my own fear.
Yeah.
And the result was, okay, I don't have to be afraid anymore, right? So that was good, and that changed me. And the other thing I remember is every time I close my eyes and thinking about that time, I see this greenish light through the canopy, and it was just like beautiful.
Okay.
I saw so many. Every day I saw a new species, you know, and it was, that's paradise, but it is sweaty, itching, and a fearful paradise. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like a dissertation project, not a diploma project. I mean, that's a yeah.
Yeah, it is a little bit more than diploma project,
yeah.
but it was the project of my life, if you will. It's the second important project of my life. The big challenge is when you marry.
Yeah. So, in that 7 months, okay, can we talk about that story then?
Any whatever, yeah.
Okay, so you're 29 years old.
Yes.
This is in 2000 and what?
I'm so bad in calculating that back,
Okay.
but 29 years, it's in 94, I think, something like that.
1994.
1993, something. Yeah.
1993, okay.
Yeah.
So, you fall in love, I think.
You're right.
Something happens. This story is a great story. This might be one of the best stories I've heard about how I met my partner.
Okay, cool. Good.
And I can't wait for you to share this. When you first got there, and this is an educational project. This is research. You're in the jungle. Were you thinking about, what if I fall in love here? Was that something? You know what I mean? Was that something on your mind? Like,
it was before.
Okay.
Before I came to Thailand, because I had no connection with Thailand. I was fond of Japan.
Okay.
But without being there, but all the samurai stories on my youth, I was very interested in. So Japan, I had a kind of connection, but nothing with Thailand. The only thing I know about Thailand is
They have gibbons.
sex tourism.
Yeah.
Well, gibbons, I didn't know
Gibbons
at that time.
sex tourism. Okay.
Monogamy or not. Okay. Well, anyway, and I had a girlfriend in Germany working at the same institute with me, and everyone told us, I mean, Joerg, when you go there, we don't give a chance to your relationship with your current girlfriend.
It's going to end here.
It's end here, because if you go there, you see the Thai girls and they see you, and that's it.
So is that one of the stereotypical, like I don't know anything about Thailand, but like I don't know anybody growing up who went to Thailand. on a vacation.
Oh,
Just
really?
maybe because it's just so far.
Okay, could be, but actually, the study site was possible for me because there is a relationship between our institute and the Mahidol University from Bangkok.
Okay.
And the professor at that Mahidol University was Warren Brockelman from America, who went during the Vietnam War as a GI to Asia and studied about malaria.
Okay.
And he stayed, and he also helped at Mahidol University to maintain the study group, which is actually founded. The study site was founded by two English guys.
But what took him there was war.
Yeah, and he stayed after war. He stayed, and I think he actually married even a Thai woman.
Yeah, peace
it happens.
But in your case, I don't know. Like, see, like, where do we go? Like, I've noticed since I've been living in Germany, like, Germans love tropical places, or they like beachy places. So it's either Mallorca, or the Canary Islands, or the Maldives, or Bora Bora, wherever that is. Or, you know, Southeast Asia. Like, this is a common destination. That's what I mean. This is a common destination for Germans to go on vacation.
Yeah, okay. It's not Hawaii. This is where the Americans go.
Even Hawaii, when I was growing up, that was crazy expensive. I mean, that was like all the way to California and then 5 more hours because I lived on the East Coast.
Okay.
So that's about, what is it, a 10-hour flight?
No.
To Bangkok?
Yeah. If you go to Bangkok, direct flight, it's 10 hours. On the way back, 11.
Okay, so that's me, North Carolina or Clemson, flying to Hawaii. That'd be like a 10-hour flight.
Yeah, okay.
Which we would never have done, I think, growing up.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Okay, so you're in a relationship. Your friends are teasing you like, hey, man, you know this is not going to work out.
Yeah.
Did they expect you to come back, or did they expect you to stay?
No, they
wanted you to come back.
Yeah, that's clear.
Okay.
So, and my girlfriend at that time and we said, okay, we will show the whole world, and we become fiancés.
We are stronger.
We are stronger. We will show everyone, and we promised each other and become fiancés.
So you proposed before you left?
Yes.
Big mistake.
Yes, always. Don't make promises you can't keep. But I didn't know at that time. I was really convinced that I can do it. Okay. You know, and that makes me one of the loneliest guy in the world.
Were you a little bit? Well, we can talk about that afterwards. Like how you sort of had that talk when you came home. You had to have that talk.
Yes. I mean, that's part of that story, I think, because. But let me start before. Because I was with 2 other guys, strong young men, you know, and we stayed in that headquarter in a certain bungalow where the scientists were, and around us there were just like a kind of singled bungalows with sometimes guests that stayed overnight, but mainly it was just the rangers and the families of the rangers. So there's no at daytime there were tourists. And they had a couple of food stalls that provided them with food. And in the evening, after taking off the ticks or leeches, whatever, we met and had dinner. And then it happens that sometimes Thai people joined us and we had a drink or whatever. So, and there was one guy who said, oh, look, in this village, no one knows me, but at home, in my hometown, I'm the one, number one, right? So, and you have to visit me, yeah? And whatever you want to eat, you choose, you know? Women, how many? You know? That was the kind of talk we had at that time. And the 2 guys, okay, tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, you know? And I was the only one who said like, no, leave me out.
It's not for me.
Yeah, I was strong enough to say no at that time. So I think the people thought I'm kind of monk or something.
Well, more conservative.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's okay.
Okay. And the next morning the Thai guy was gone, of course. So yeah, but that was the image, and I think the Thai rangers and the people who witnessed that they thought I'm kind of a saint. I don't know. So and when then something else happened. The the appearance I gave was demolished until the end. I stayed, it was like, yeah. But so what happened? I stayed in Thailand with a visa, and the visa was valid for 3 months. After 3 months, I had to left the country. So the first time I went to Malaysia, and the second time I thought, there must be another way, because it's a long trip from that national park to France.
So you can go out and come back in and get another extension?
Yes.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah, that's easy, and that's for another 3 months.
Okay.
And I stayed 7 months. So after 6 months, I had to leave the country again.
So you were there. Okay, so you were there doing the research on a tourist visa.
It was it was a research visa. However, I had to leave the country.
But still,
in a
it
way.
wasn't. Yeah, I got you.
So and that's easy. I mean, you just have to leave, get a new stamp, pay another 500 baht, and that's it.
Okay.
So, and I thought I can do that at another border, maybe to Laos or Myanmar or Burma wasn't possible at that time, or not likely. So, and I thought maybe I can do that in Bangkok. So with this American guy, he was fluently with Thai, so it was a big help sometimes, and he needed to go to Bangkok as well. So he joined me, and then in Bangkok we separated, and I tried to do my visa. And on that trip, the two of us, we had a talk as well, and he taught me that there are two kinds of Thai women. Mm-hmm. That is the ones that are raised traditionally, and you will not meet them because foreigners, they're not their type of kind of cake or cup of tea, I think you should say. And the other ones, and they earn money.
Okay.
So that was the rule number one. And the rule number two he gave me was like, if a Thai woman invites you to her family, she want to marry you.
Okay.
So equipped with these rules, I was well prepared for Bangkok, and I tried to extend my visa, which worked, but it was really a bad experience because the bureaucracy was really, really bad. Anyway, I managed it, and it happens that is on the next day when I wanted to leave is the 5th of December.
Okay.
And that was the birthday of the king at that time, King Bhumibol, and that was a public holiday.
Okay.
So Bangkok is really crazy. Okay. It's the worst place to be, and in the same time the best place to be on earth. So, and I thought there's a kind of festival or celebrations that I can witness, but I couldn't find a kind of a calendar or where anything happens. I wasn't experienced enough for that. So spending until 10 o'clock in the morning, then I decided, okay, good, I will not figure out that easily. And it's a long trip to go back. So let's go. And it took me two hours from the center of the town to the northern bus stop, Mojit.
Uh-huh.
And they have a different system from buses than in Europe, or as I was familiar with, because they have counters where you can buy tickets for a certain line.
Okay.
And that line goes one direction, and you can buy the ticket over there. And they have different companies and different directions where they go. So I had to figure out the right counter and then waiting. And it was hot. I had a backpack, and it was like everyone wanted to leave, and it was a long queue, and I stayed there, and finally I was the third person in a row in front of the counter. They had a lunch break, and at that moment I saw a young Thai woman passing in that kind of hall, and it was partly open, but it was covered. And I noticed her because she didn't look like typical Thai women. And then I think 5 to 10 minutes later, she approached me and talked to me.
Right.
And she asked me, if I go to Nakhon Ratchasima, so that is her hometown. That's where she wanted to go, and the likelihood that I do is quite high because it was that one line. So my answer was no, because I just had to go to a small village in the front of that on the line, Pak Chong, right? And then she turned away and she left.
Okay.
And 3 minutes later, she came back and said, "Oh, could you please buy me a ticket to Korat or Nakhon Ratchasima? I will give you the money." I said, "Okay, I can do that." And so I was very pleased because, I mean, of course, I was attractive young man. That's my own perception at that time. And a young girl asked me, of course, she had good reasons to do so. And I bought the ticket for her. And from that moment on, we started a conversation. She was very good in English, so that wasn't a problem. And the system after that, once you have the tickets, is that you buy the tickets for a certain bus at a time and for the seat.
Okay.
So, and the system is also that the buses, we had to wait for another half an hour, 3/4 of an hour, every 20 minutes the new buses come. So and we're talking all the time, and then the system is sometimes passengers don't show up. So the coach, the bus driver, said, "Okay, I still have three seats left.
Right.
The ones with the tickets, if you want, and if you're quick." And then she jumped up and said, "Yeah, 2 seats," and grabbed me and pulled me inside the bus, and then she rearranged some other passengers so that we can sit together. So, and we still go on talking, and it was quite nice and easy, and then it come to the situation.
What did she think about you when you told her you were there to study gibbons?
I don't think that we talked about that.
Okay.
I don't know. I can't recall whether we talked about that.
I mean, she would say like, why are you here? And you're like, "I'm here to study gibbons."
Yeah, maybe, most likely. I can't remember that because now in my memories that might fade. Yeah. So, but anyway, she asked me the most important question.
Yeah.
Would you like to visit me at my parents' home?
And this is the day before you talk to the Peace Corps guy, and the Peace Corps guy says, if you get invited to someone's house, that's your partner.
Yes.
Or
So I reacted like every young man in this situation, you know. I said yes. And I just left the bus at Pak Chong, where I needed to go, went to the counter and bought the extension ticket and joined her. Because I know if I go to Pak Chong, then I have to hitchhike, and it's another half a day trip to go to this. I will never made it out and to visit her in specific.
Yeah.
So I just went and joined her, and when we arrived at her parents' house, there was kind of, or actually it was a restaurant, and she told me that she worked as a fashion designer in Bangkok. And that her car broke down. That's why she used the train, the bus, and it was just a coincidence. And then when we entered, her mother was cooking, and she turned to us and she said, obviously something that this is a guy she met in Bangkok. And the mother smiled at me, said, "Okay, welcome," and turned back. So I was very sure I'm not the first one. You know? But it was a misunderstanding because actually she really worked as a fashion designer, and her mother thought we met at work, you know. But my interpretation at that time was totally different.
So going back, was the Peace Corps guy giving you good advice or just like subjective stereotypes?
I think it was a well-meant advice, and it was not bad.
Okay.
And we talked about that not that long ago, but you can't transport experience. You have to make it, you know. Don't touch the hot oven, and I had to touch it to learn it, you know. Yeah. So anyway, that's how I met my wife to be the very first time. And the next day after we stayed overnight at her parents' house.
So you spent the night there?
Yeah, I spent the night there because it's a long way to go. Right?
Yeah.
I had no other chance. Anyway, we went back to my home, to the national park, and she joined me. Because she had to go back to work, as Thai people don't have much holidays. So, and now you have to imagine the guy everyone considered to be a saint,
right?
Come back, and his company wears a short dress in orange with high heels, walking, and From that moment on, the people I had contact with the locals. You know, they hide their daughters the moment I appeared.
So,
I came on.
I mean, this
stage.
is crazy. Is this what it's like in 1993 or 1994 in Thailand? Like, is it that black and white when it comes to like? Because you bring a colleague of a female back in, and automatically there's like this distinction, like, okay, Joerg, what have you done?
Yes, it is. You know, I don't know whether it's everywhere like that, but I would have thought the same about her or me in this combination.
If you saw that person coming in.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, because that is a kind of stereotype that mainly older guys, not necessarily same age people, but a lot of older guys go to Thailand for holiday, have a company. They rent a room with inmate.
Well, are you at this point that in this day that you've been talking and interacting, and then you have the family, and are you openly expressing like some, okay, would you like to continue this, or is this just a chance meeting? Like, you know, are you having those little like nuances in the behavior or the conversation?
It was just. No, it was clear. I couldn't.
So
I felt tempted.
Do you know you're getting married at this time?
Yes, I told her. I told her that that I have a fiancée.
Okay.
You know, so and it was kind of affair. I couldn't resist. You know, but that was okay for her at that time.
Okay.
You know? So. And both of us expected that is for a short romance, and that's it. Yeah. I didn't expect that I never get rid of her since then, you know. But anyway.
Well, like, so the next day when she goes with you back to your village where you were working, would you consider yourself a couple at that point?
No.
Okay.
It's just. I know she would go back to Bangkok, and that's it.
But there's an interest.
It was an interest.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
So, and actually, after she left, and I stayed the last month over there, my brother was visiting, and during that time we had contact again, and she invited us to Bangkok. And
so she was a fashion designer. She lived in Bangkok. She had a car.
She had a car. And she paid for everything, right? And it was like
she's a successful, she's a successful business lady living in Bangkok. What a surprise, right?
Yeah. Okay, but anyway, I followed my heart, if you like. I just trusted on that.
Playing you, yeah.
And so what I always fancied was how easy everything was in our relationship.
Okay.
Right? I loved my fiancée at that time, you know, but her parents were teachers.
Okay.
And so everything can become a problem. You know, we have to discuss about everything. She was intellectual and well educated, and it was like surviving, you know, the relationship. And this relationship in comparison was like a butterfly flies by, you know, something like that. So easy, you know. So I was fascinated by that. And then you mentioned that what happened when I come back.
Yeah.
So on that day, I felt sick like I probably never or nearly never felt before in my life.
Okay.
You know, I had, I wasn't able to go to the airport myself
Okay.
So I spent the last 2 days in Bangkok with her.
Mm-hmm.
And I had discussion with this other German guy and the American guy, and there was a Danish scientist as well. And he came with his girlfriend, and with her I discussed a lot about that. And I was sure, if my relationship in Germany will ever have a chance to survive, then if I'm honest. And I decided I have to tell her right away when I come back.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah. Rational, it's easy, but then I forget all the fears about tiger and whatever. That was the more that what I focused for. And so I felt really, really sick on the way on the day I had to fly back.
Okay.
So and when I arrived then in Germany, my fiancée at that time picked me up with another female, with another friend of hers, which I didn't know.
Okay.
So they picked me up from the airport. While I was away, we moved together in the same flat as a students. And my father and my brother make the move for me.
Okay.
I wasn't in that flat before. So now we live together, and finally her friend left.
Okay.
So, and we were alone. And that moment, I took everything that I could find of braveness and put it together. And I told her, look, I have to tell you, there was something happening, you know. And I was obliged to do so. Also at that time, AIDS was also an issue. Even I was sure that. But anyway, and in that moment, when I was first time in my life a hero, saying that to her, her reaction was, "Oh, and I have to tell you something as well."
Okay.
And when I thought about that, I think that was the moment of enlightenment. I didn't feel, "Hey, what? How can you do so?" You know. So my first reaction was, "Okay, then everything is fine," you know. And knowing that, I think that was actually realizing that that was the end of that relationship.
So could you stay in the apartment as
Yeah,
like friends before you had to move out? Because you had to move out, right? At some point.
Yeah.
Okay.
We stayed there, but then she had to go working outside for a couple of months, and so I actually decided. I stayed there first, but I had contact with my now wife with letters. So we wrote letters to each other, and in one of the letters, suddenly she said, "I will come to Germany and visit you."
Okay. How many months is this after you've left?
3 to 4 months.
Okay, so quick.
Yeah, quick.
Fairly quickly,
yeah. Okay. So anyway, and now I needed to invite her, but as a student in Germany without financial support, I wasn't able to guarantee that. So my father had to guarantee that.
Okay.
And he did, and she came and visiting, and we stayed 3 months together, the duration of her time staying in Germany.
Yeah.
Of course, I didn't want to stay in that flat, so I asked my brother, "Can I use your flat instead?" And when he said yes, I went into his flat and started cleaning, you know. I mean, I took the oven off and cleaned everything. I repaired drawers and whatever, so that I can at least invite a woman into that hell. I love my brother, but anyway. So
what city were you living in at the time?
Göttingen.
Okay.
That's my hometown as well, and I came back to Göttingen for studying.
Nice.
And then I found a flat by myself, moved out from that, and moved into my new flat, a small room. So I cleaned my brother's flat for nothing.
Yeah.
And that's where we stayed then, you know, for 3 months. And what was important for me is I saw her family, and I was very well accepted. And I saw her and the reaction of my family to my wife, and she took everyone's heart by storm.
So this is about her personality, just as an individual.
Yeah, she's really special, very special. Right?
That's nice.
And so then at a certain time, we know. So either now we make a tough decision, or this will be the end of the relationship, because over this long distance, it probably have no chance to survive. Right?
Okay.
So, and then, knowing with all the good experience about being fiancé, I promised.
So
myself,
in that 3 months,
in that 3 months,
you asked her to marry you.
Yeah, and actually, no, she asked me.
Okay.
And my first reaction was, I have to think about that, because knowing that, do I really want? And how do you know that you really love someone, and so on? All these kind of. So, and that shocked her for some time. And I asked for 2 weeks to think about it. She gave it to me, but I think for the rest of my life I have to suffer for that. Anyway, then we decided to go on, but I have to finish my thesis, so it took another 6 months before I was able to then go back to Thailand and stayed with her and her family for another month. And then the plan was to come back to Germany and marry.
Okay.
So, and it nearly worked. So because the German bureaucracy is never to be underestimated.
Well, is it the same thing? You have a fiancé visa, or you just
No. Tourist visa. Then the plan was we apply for marriage, and
then she gets a residency, just like I do.
This is a phase, the first step of a residency.
Okay.
So that is, I think, 3 or 4 steps that you can stay, that you are allowed to stay at least. Then you have finally the right to stay, and for 3 years, for 5 years, and then as long as unlimited. Okay. So unless you leave the country for more than 6 months.
Okay.
Then everything is gone.
So it's like a green card almost.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if you have a green card in the States, then I think you leave the States, you have to get permission from the U.S. government.
Okay.
And then more than 6 months.
Yeah.
Because, it's a work visa, right? That's what it's for.
Yeah, yeah.
Like working in the States.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you're married within almost a year of meeting her for the first time.
Yes.
Okay.
So, pretty much on 12th of or 5th of December, 1993 we met. On 5th of May, 1994 we married.
Okay, so even quicker. So did you ask her? Now this is when you first told this story to our class. I remember exactly what I said. I said, "Man, you got played."
Yeah.
But now I don't think.
I think so now.
But now when you go back, was that her intention? Just because? And I said, why did she choose you, right? And you said, Scott, because the other guys wouldn't have bought her the ticket. They would have said, go back to the end of the line.
Exactly. But that was something I had to take against my expectation, and I thought it was a big hit for my ego, because I thought she'd choose me because of me, and she said, look, you're the only foreigner in this line, if you run away with my money, I find you back, And anyway, it was less romantic than I expected.
Yeah, but it's still that. But she chose you because of there was an honesty about that, right? And then it developed into the relationship.
Yes. By
talking on the bus, and then next thing you know, what was the family conversation like that night at dinner? I mean, did her parents speak English?
No.
So she was translating the whole time?
Yeah, she ignoring me like the rest of the family, more or less, with conversation. And they're always looking how I eat. Can I eat Thai food?
Mm-hmm.
But I was a little bit adapted to that, so used to that.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't too spicy for me, and the restaurant was really fantastic. The parents had.
Yeah.
So I think they're happy that I like the food.
Okay.
The rest is okay,
Okay.
So otherwise they talk to each other, and it was really family. So it wasn't so formal. It was just like, okay, there's someone
sitting there.
Well, that's okay. As long as he doesn't disturb, then it's fine.
Okay.
Well, I felt very well with that. Very
Interesting.
good. Yeah.
So, when did? I mean, I've never met her yet, not yet. But like, did she carry on? Like, when does she? I mean, she's lived in Europe for the last
30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys go back every year?
No, we went this year in spring. We went back, but through due to pandemic and we were moving a lot. I think we moved 20 times in Germany during my business career.
Okay, so
to always follow the money, and it was very sporadic. Normally every 3 years, 2 to 3 years that we go. She went a little bit more often alone then for 3 months or 1 month, and now she has been twice this year already. But before that, we didn't went for 5 years, I think. Okay, we didn't went there.
Has she enjoyed her time in Europe? Does she like living in Europe? Because I love living here.
Yeah, she loved it. And before we met, that's why she spoke English pretty well, because she studied in London.
Okay.
She lived for, I think, 1.5 years in London.
Okay.
And then she was at that time a little bit arrogant because she is really, really good in drawing. Yeah. And actually in London at the school, I don't know the name, King's College of Art or something. I don't know.
It's something famous.
Yeah. So
like it's a reputable school.
Yeah, it was a good school. So and they asked her to become a teacher over there because her ability of drawing was so well.
Okay.
And at that time she was that arrogant that she said, no, I can take that any time if I want, And she went back to Bangkok to start working over there. Right?
Okay.
So so she knew Europe, if you consider England to become or to be part of Europe. But anyway, so and then I think she loved it in Germany so far, right? And there are a lot of Thai women here in Germany. At the beginning, we lived in Göttingen, but then we moved to the border of Switzerland. And there are loads of friends over there. Even one lady who was a schoolmate. Okay. So and she was always involved in this kind of Thai society and connections. And then there's social media line and stuff. Okay. She's more talking to Thai friends than to me at that time or until now. Okay. Yeah.
No, it's just a great story. It's a great. It's a great story, man.
Yeah. I don't want to miss all these experiences, but what the cultural differences I think is she never put a lot of effort in learning in German. She understands dangerously a lot, so I have to be careful. But the majority of the time we speak in a mixture of English, German, and a couple of Thai orders I understand as well. Okay. Yeah.
So language. Your common language is English.
Yeah.
Right.
Mainly, yeah.
Which actually worked in your benefit, to a certain extent, of improving your English language skills.
We don't speak very good English together. In terms of sophisticated grammar or it is more kind of basic language. So I would also mix another language, which is Nong's personal language, just like a signal with her mouth, like that means here, get up, get it for me, something like that. And
some body language.
It's a kind of anyway. That it works, and most of the time the routine, if you like, or the trust in each other work in our favor, because every problem in communication was interpreted at the best way to that he meant or she meant in this situation.
Okay, that's a nice.
And that was different from the biggest difference I think between the relation before that. Everything I said was How do you mean that? You know, could it be like this and this? Then it wouldn't be okay. And in this case, it would. Okay, he probably meant it in the best way, best possible way.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you weren't under the gun.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I love the way she rules me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I'm happy with that. You know, I don't regret anything. Yeah.
So you're going to retire back to Thailand after you finish work?
Yes.
When are you going to retire?
Hopefully in 3 years.
Okay.
Maybe 4. Yeah.
Okay. Are you ready for that experience? Like,
I'm not sure, because I'm aware that the relationship need to change. While I'm now the one representing our partnership to the outside, and she's more the strategic mind behind it. It will change in the other environment. My Thai is rudimentary, you know, so I can speak a little bit, but mainly understand sometimes, but not good or well enough to talk at this stage. I need to learn. But anyway, but her personality is different from me, you know. So while I'm thoughtful and think, what if I say that? What might she feel or think about that? And maybe I should consult her first before I make a decision. She make the decision before she's thoughtful.
okay.
She's just going, yeah. Which is great, because she, during all our relationship, she constantly pushed me out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
And I'm very thankful for that.
That's nice.
Because I'm a lazy guy, and you know, unless she motivates me that way, I wouldn't have new experiences, right?
Yeah.
So I can grow with that.
I mean, dude, that's so important that you said that, because like, even like Jansu, like my partner, like that's the thing. When your partner stops motivating you, then you're on the way out, right? Like you have to have that motivation and support, and encouragement, right, coming from from your partner. Yeah. But I like that if maybe in your there's a false sense of like I helped you make that decision, right?
Yeah. I mean, just one example. I come back home after working outside somewhere in my office or in the office, and I come back home and the living room has changed. All the furniture are changed, you know. But we had I had a plan that need to be here, because we can see from here the window, and we can see from here the television without reflection and whatever. So a very well planned living room, and everything is changed. Nothing is on the same spot. And why, you know? So without consulting me up front. So, and I learned to give it a chance, at least.
Yeah, she's a design major.
Yes, and it turns out that not in all, but in many cases, okay, that's nice.
That
have
works.
Other merits, and I would never ever tried it, but she forced me to, and it was okay. You know?
Yeah, a little thinking outside the box, out of the comfort zone. Yeah.
And that's something I experienced time over time, and then I let it happen more easily, right? Because I know there might be something good coming out of it, and if not, we change it back.
Yeah, we'll just turn it back. Yeah. It's no big deal.
So and again, when we go to Thailand one day, then I have to learn again, because I can't let her make all the decisions on her own. You know, I have to interfere at a certain point, because when my brother-in-law and she and I we make a plan, then I explain the plan to her in English, and now I expect her to translate, but her reaction is no. You know, so and then I have to stand up, and that's again, you know, the tiger image or the metaphor.
Yeah.
I have to stand up to her and think, oh please, first translate. Once he understood, we can argue, and then we can make a decision, but not say no in the middle of it, without probably listen to the end. You know, yeah. So that's what I have to learn. I expect like that, you know. So it will be challenging, which is good.
I mean, you have some time. Like, you know, do you maybe in the last 6 months of working, you know, before you retire here in Germany, you can start studying a little bit Thai more seriously. Like, I don't know. But yeah, it's going to take some time, right?
I give it a go at the very beginning of our relationship, which was difficult because first my wife was very, very jealous, and she had to look at the teacher.
Okay.
And at that time, there was another student. She considered that other student as not attractive enough, and then it was okay.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
So, and I learned the writing, but I never practiced. You know, I learned about the listening, which is the most important to me as a German, right? Because they have pronunciations, 4 types of pronunciations, and one without any sign.
Okay.
So if you say cow or cow, it's totally different.
Okay.
You know, I always struggle to find something similar in Germany or in German. I found one. Sorry if I use the German word. Is jemanden umfahren, drive around someone, or jemanden umfahren, just drive over.
Okay.
So, and this is umfahren oder umfahren.
So it's the stress.
It's more the stress,
yeah.
Exactly. And but the German language is not. There are not many examples like that. But in Thai, that is what I need to focus on is the listening.
Okay.
Right? The pronunciation is very, very important, and that is a big challenge. You know? Okay. So, but the good thing is, Thais have more or less. I mean, I'm over the top when I say that, but they have more or less 3 topics they talk about. It's food, it's money, and it's sex.
Okay.
So, and when you listen carefully, you figure at least out what they're talking about. You know. So, and then it's good. It's good. The more you learn, then you know.
Food, money, and sex.
Yeah. It is.
I've never been to Thailand. I don't know anybody from Thailand. I've just, that part of the world is I don't know, maybe it's just so far away. I'm not a beach guy, that's the thing.
Yeah, it's beautiful, the Thai beach.
I'm sure it's beautiful.
But I can't stay there longer than a couple of days anyway. Yeah.
Maybe one day. I don't know. Jansu is not really. She's not really a beach person. But I have the same thing. Our common language at home is English.
Yeah.
My Turkish is limited to maybe 200 words, some phrases. But I speak Kyrgyz, which is like it's like a village Turkic, the language, and not as sophisticated or linguistically sophisticated as Turkish. And so I can communicate with her parents to a certain extent, right? Using my Kyrgyz. Yeah, Jansu and our language of communication is in English, just like that. And I don't think we really miss anything in translation. Thank goodness her fluency is really good. But I love that story. I've never heard any story like that before in my entire life.
Okay.
But when I meet her, can I ask her if this was intentional or not intentional, the ticket?
You can ask her, of course.
Okay.
I mean, what I know.
So it's not a secret.
No, it's not.
Okay.
No. She would tell nearly the same story.
Okay.
If you ask her, her answer will be, "Oh, I met Joerg because he came to Thailand as a sex tourist."
Yeah.
And then she stopped and waiting for.
So she plays the joke.
Yes, she plays the joke, and she enjoys it very much.
Okay.
So
she has a fun personality.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's
easy on that.
It's sort of a sarcastic.
But
this is good.
She's not afraid of any of that.
Okay.
And what I also know is that she was fond of foreigners. I mean, the foreigners in Thai are called Falang, which is sometimes negative negative touch to it.
Sure.
So but when she grew up, there was the Vietnam War, and so American soldiers has been stationed over there from an airport close by to Nakhon Ratchasima. They started and bombed then in Vietnam. So that's nothing. She was a child. She didn't know about that, but she saw a lot of blonde, tall foreigners, and she had a positive experience with that. So that was in my favor. Even I wasn't an American.
Yeah.
So I just
Tall and blonde.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for the preparation. Yeah, so that's good. Yeah.
Oh, dude, that's such a good story. Well, dude, I mean, I could talk forever. I know this is getting a little late. Yeah, it's getting a little late. But yeah, again, I wanted to bring you on specifically for that story. I'm glad that you told us about gibbons, because that's also something I was like, okay, why was he in Thailand for the first? Okay, I was studying like gibbons.
Yeah.
Not monkeys, but gibbons.
Very good.
And ends up like, falling in love. It's a really great story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to close the loop,
Yeah.
Our study group was the first that observed off-pair breeding in a wild group of gibbons.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's they are not as
So you mean
monogamous.
a little bit of like,
Yeah.
a little bit of like, what's the
Polygyny.
word? Yeah.
Yeah, polygyny.
Okay.
Yeah, and what's very interesting is the level you look at monogamy.
Mm-hmm.
If you define monogamy as there's a one male, one female relationship,
Mm-hmm.
they are monogamous. If you look at their pairing with only one partner, they're not. We saw that.
Okay.
But is the offspring only from the same male that the female have?
Mm-hmm.
And to verify that, you need a DNA analysis.
Sample, right?
Samples, yeah.
Yeah.
And these samples we were collecting, which is just like we collected the feces,
Mm-hmm.
and imagine now a 30-kilogram less young German boy watching with binoculars the gibbons, and the gibbons watching him, because they know we need to habitate them.
Mm-hmm.
And then they know that I was keen on their feces.
On their poop, yeah.
On their poop. So, and from 20-30 meters, the poop was falling, and I was somewhere there, and must pick up, because it's difficult to find it, So, and then I was very, very close, observing where that falling, and 5 meters above my head, that poop hit a branch, and So that was my life at studying gibbons. That was really, next to the fear, it was
Catching poop.
catching poop.
And
yeah.
hoping a tiger doesn't eat me.
In between. But I know it's worthwhile.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That is so awesome, man. Well, dude,
Yeah.
thank you so much for, taking an hour and 20 minutes out of your time today. It's a Friday. I know everybody wants to go home and like start their weekend. I do too. So,
Okay.
yeah, thank you for saying yes to this, man.
I
really
it was my
appreciate it.
pleasure, really.
Yeah.
I love to tell the story anyway.
It's
yeah.
a great story. It's a great story. And it brings, two different people from two different cultures, two different backgrounds together. And it sounds like, I like the fact that your partner is a little sarcastic. She's, she's not, it's
She don't take my wife bashing seriously. She
Yeah,
knows that
yeah.
I don't mean it like, So
No,
that's a sign of trust as well.
It's a sign of trust, and it's a sign of like, you can have personalities. You can have different personalities coming together, right?
Yeah.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
But again, thanks again, and I hope that this podcast is a very popular podcast. But, yeah, again, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Perfect. See? Nice.